Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how I made the knight from Hollow Knight in Blender. First, go to front view and drag and drop the reference. You can download this in the link below along with the other Hollow Knight characters reference from the previous modeling videos. I didn't start this in real world scale, so I had to resize it later. It's definitely easier if you start modeling in real world. That way, rigging, animation, and even textures and lighting will all behave more naturally. Now let's proceed. Move the reference up above the floor. Here in the outliner, click the filter icon and enable selectable. Now turn this off because you don't want to click our reference accidentally while modeling. Then go over here and check the opacity and set this to 0.5. Select the cube and add a subdiv modifier with Ctrl 2 and move this up to align to the head. Tab to go to edit mode and add a loop here with Ctrl R and scale it down along the Z axis to squash it down a bit. Set the subdiv levels to 3 and apply the modifier. Go back to edit mode and select these verts. Shift D to duplicate. Right click, Loop Tools, Circle. If you don't see the Loop Tools option, make sure to enable it on Preferences, Add-ons. Turn on Snap with Shift Tab and enable Face Project and turn these on. Scale this down to fit inside the border of the verts that we duplicated from. Select these faces and delete. Then select these edge loops and right-click, Bridge Edge Loops. Give space by sliding these verts by tapping G twice. Select this and extrude it in. Then Ctrl F to grid fill. Select these edges and bevel to make it sharper once we add another subdiv modifier. Select all and I have my spacebar set to search, then search for Symmetrize. By default, you can press F3 to search or you can go up here to Mesh and select Symmetrize. Then change the direction to positive X to negative X. Add more resolution with subdiv modifier to make the head smoother. And also make sure that the render matches the level's viewport. For the horns, add a cube and scale it in edit mode. Alt Z to go to X-ray mode to see the reference better. Place it here and select these verts to extrude. Add a loop here, then select these and extrude. Then do the same over here. Go to side view, add a loop, and maybe widen this a bit. Then add a subdiv modifier and some supporting loops here to improve the shape. Then apply the subdiv modifier. Select these verts and delete. Join the horn and the head into one mesh with Ctrl J. Select these verts, deselect these, then delete to make a hole. Align this to the center of the hole by moving this to the back. Select the edge loops and bridge. Then symmetrize. I think the horns are far back, so select the front and scale along the Y and move to the back a bit. Then rename this to head. To add the body, make sure to enable the Extra Mesh Objects add-on to add a single vert quickly. Move this up for the neck, extrude down to the chest, then hips and legs. Select this and extrude for the shoulders and arms. Add a mirror modifier and turn on clipping to merge the middle verts. Add a skin modifier to add thickness, then a subdiv modifier to add resolution. Go to edit mode and Ctrl A to adjust the thickness. Add a vert here with Ctrl R for the elbow. Then rename this accordingly. To make this cloak, add a circle with 12 verts. Move this up and scale it down. Then extrude it down and scale it up. Add 5 loops. Select this, turn on proportional editing with O and scale it up so we have this nice curved silhouette. Go to side view and scale this down along the Y. Then add a subdiv modifier to add more resolution. This mesh will just serve as a guide for a cloak's shape, so duplicate this and remove the modifier. / to isolate and select these verts and delete. Select this end vert, then this up here and F to connect. We added 5 horizontal loops earlier, so add 5 verts here to match. / again to exit isolation mode and turn on snap to snap these verts to our guide's shape. Bevel these verts with Ctrl-Shift-B, then add one more over here to match the vert count to the top. For even spacing, select these, Loop Tools, Space. Now select all and Grid Fill. Add a Shrink Wrap modifier and select your guide as the target to follow its shape. Duplicate this to the other side by setting the pivot to 3D cursor, Ctrl M and X. Then recalculate normals. Select these verts and merge by distance to remove the doubles or overlapping verts. Select these and make sure that it sits on top. Then slide these loops just to have a better spacing. Flatten this and add a support loop here. Add a solidify modifier to add thickness. Then a subdiv modifier. Then scale it up to roughly match the reference. And now we can delete the guide. Select the vertical loops and hit V to rip to make the individual strands. To close the tiny gaps between each strand, add a displace modifier and just decrease the strength and move this above the subdiv modifier. Select the bottom verts, set the pivot to individual origins, and scale these down to make it a little pointy. Then just set the pivot back to median to adjust the whole shape of the cloak. Scale this down to taper it some more. Then rename this to Cloak. Then right-click and Shade Smooth. Select the body, apply these modifiers to shade smooth as well. Now let's make the knight snail or weapon. Place a 3D cursor here with Shift right-click. Add a circle with 12 verts. Scale and move it up in edit mode. Extrude down, extrude once more, and scale it up. Go to top view and scale it along the Y to make this thinner. Select this and F to fill. Connect these verts with J, or you can use the knife tool with K. Then delete these outside verts and make this a lot thinner. Flatten this first, then set the pivot to 3D cursor, then hit ES0 to extrude it all together to the cursor, then make sure to merge all vertices to center. Then add a bevel and subdiv modifier, and rename this to weapon. We can now delete the reference and make sure that the character is scaled correctly, because right now it's too big for the real world. Bring back the 3D cursor to the world origin and scale this down. You can try adding a cube for the height reference or use the measure tool here. Then apply the modifiers like the bevel, solidify, and we can leave the subdiv modifiers here to keep the low poly mesh. Select all and apply scale. Now let's make the cracks on the weapon. You can sculpt it if you want, but here I do it with procedural texturing. Set this to material preview, then set this to shader editor. Add a new material, make this metallic, and set this to a bluish color. And make sure to enable the Node Wrangler add-on to follow the shortcuts. Add a wave texture, Ctrl T to add a texture coordinate and mapping, then connect this to a color ramp. Shift Ctrl click to preview, set the texture coordinate to object, and rotate the texture on the Y-axis. We don't need this much lines, so decrease the scale and move this way to the left to make the lines sharper. Then increase the distortion, detail, and detail scale. Increase the X location a bit to move the texture. Duplicate these nodes with Shift Ctrl D to keep the connection with the texture coordinate. Mix these with Ctrl 0 and set this to multiply and set the factor to 1. Tweak this a bit just to add a little more detail on the cracks. Add the bump node, connect this to the height input, then connect this to the normal, preview, and you can adjust the strength and distance here. In this case, I set it to 0.2. Then add materials to the character. Here I use the geometry pointiness and ambient occlusion to make subtle shadows and highlights. Select these faces, add a new material here, and assign. Set this to emission and change the color to black so it won't be affected by lights. Then just copy the setup from the head to the cloak and change the colors. Add the material to the body and just make it black. Now rotate this and place it behind his back. And let's start rigging. Hide the cloak and weapon for now. select the body, and maybe rotate the arms a bit. I noticed that it's too low poly, so apply 2 levels of subdiv modifier and just add another subdiv modifier to make it smoother. Add the basic human rig, go to edit mode, and scale it down. Make sure to turn on symmetry and move the bones to fit the character. Go back to object mode and generate rig. Select the character, then the rig, Ctrl P, and choose automatic weights. We can hide the meta rig now, and if we go to pose mode, we can now move our character. Before animating, here I'm just hiding these controllers that I won't be needing, such as the F case and most of the tweaks. If you move the chest, there's a weird shading on the body, so just go back to object mode and bring the armature up above the subdiv modifier. Now go back to pose mode, and here I'm removing the hand stretch and parent this to the chest, and do the same to the other hand. Then select the feet and remove the stretch as well. Just reset this and start animating. Pull this up for the timeline, and first I'll just block out the jump. Start with a standing pose and I to insert a keyframe. Go to the next pose for the anticipation, move this down, and select these to bend his body forward. For the next frame, move him up in the air. For the next pose, just duplicate this. And since I want to make a loop animation, just duplicate the first frame to the last. Here I'm just making this a little more extreme by bringing the body down and rotating it forward some more. And maybe spread this a little. Now we'll be needing more frames to run the animation. And here I'm just scaling this like so. Alright, now let's adjust the curves in the graph editor. So around frame 10, we want him to move faster as he pushes off the ground, and again when he lands at frame 30. Basically, the steeper the curve, the faster the movement. Then at the top of the jump, around frame 21, we'll flatten the curve a bit so he slows down gently and then picks up speed again as he falls back down. Then add a little stretching while his feet are still touching the ground. This helps show that he's pushing off with force. Turn off the leg stretch around here, just before he reaches the peak. This makes it feel like he's already in the air, being lifted by momentum instead of still pushing off. Notice that the leg joints are messed up, but we can fix it by keying this. Then now let's focus on the X rotation of the body, chest, and head. Duplicate these to add more keys or a little hold. I also offset the timing a bit to add a little delay, like the movement is traveling through the body instead of everything moving at once. For the hands, I don't want to focus much on them since I know that they'll be covered by the cloak. You can always polish this even more by adding some asymmetry, like slightly offsetting the timing, tweaking the curves, or adding a bit of extra rotation to the body. But for this one, I'm keeping it simple and will now proceed rigging the cloak. Let's hide the rig and unhide the cloak. Add an armature, single bone. Go to edit mode and rotate with RX 180 and scale it down. Now E to add another bone, and let's turn on snap and select volume. Snap here and continue adding more bones to each cloak strand. Our cloak is slightly symmetrical, so just add the bones to one side. Once done, we can select these, set the pivot to 3D cursor, make sure it's in the world origin, duplicate, Ctrl M, X to mirror along the X axis. Now just snap these inside the cloak strands. The cloak overlaps in this part, so we can just turn off the snap and move these manually towards the back. For the cloak animation, I'll be showing you two ways to animate it. Let's go to pose mode, select this bone, and add a bone constraint, child of. Select the rig, then spine 0.003, which is the bone near the chest area if you want to check. If this happens, just click Set Inverse. Then select starting from the bone below, then the bone above it. Shift Ctrl C and choose Damp Track. Set the influence to 0.5 and repeat this to the rest of the bones. And now we can select the main bone, move it, and you can see that it creates a follow-through effect. It makes the movement feel more fluid and less stiff. Go to edit mode to add more bones for the weapon. Then pose mode to select the bones and add a damp track again and set the influence to a smaller value to prevent it from wobbling too much. Go back to edit mode again and make sure that the end bone is selected. Then go to object mode, select the weapon, then the armature and parent to bone. Then select the cloak, the armature, and parent with automatic weights. If you play the animation, the cloak and weapon are now following the rig. The cloak shading looks weird because we still have to move the armature modifier, above the subdiv. To avoid this stretching and to clean the animation manually, go to Pose Mode, select these bones, and search for Bake Action. Check Visual Keying and Clear Constraints and hit OK. After baking the animation, you'll probably notice some clipping or parts going through the mesh. We can just clean it up manually by adjusting a few keyframes, and having auto keying turned on makes a lot easier. With that, every small change gets recorded automatically. There are still a lot of penetrations from the back, but since my camera's fixed in the front, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Alright, so next method, and a lot easier, is to use an add-on. It's called Bone Dynamics Pro. By the way, I'm not affiliated with this add-on, and I'm just using the free version, which works perfectly for what I need. There's a pro version too, but I haven't tried it. Now let's go to Pose Mode and select this bone again, and add a child of, select Rig, Spine 0.003, and set Inverse. Instead of adding damp track one by one, we can just select multiple bones. Then go over here and click Add Bone Dynamics. Parent the cloak to the bones with automatic weights, and don't forget to move the armature up above the subdiv modifier, and play the animation. There's some penetration as well, and to fix that, just select the body, duplicate, we can hide this, remove the subdiv modifier for better performance, go to Physics, and add Collision. You can play with these settings and see what works best for your animation. Now the collision is perfect, but I don't want the arms to be sticking out, so I move it closer to the body, just my preference. Then, to clean the animation, select the bones on Pose Mode, and the add-on comes with a big animation button, so just click this and OK. To make this run on loop, just delete these and copy the first frame. Then add more bones for the weapon. Parent the weapon to this bone, go to Pose Mode, and add Bone Dynamics and set the influence. Bake the animation as well, and copy the first frame to the last frame to turn this to a loop. That's all. Thank you for watching. Happy blending!